Let's say you're at a convention and you see a box that looks like this. Well, there's a bunch of NES games, but you don't know what you're looking for. You know that you do want to add some NES games to your collection, but you're like, I mean, if they're, $1, $2, they can't be that good, right? I'm here to tell you some of my most favorite NES games are less than $10. Well, like this one right here, Iron Sword. I mean, this game's amazing. So here are a bunch of NES games that you can buy when you're kind of broke. And if you love retro gaming, this list is going to help you. You got to make sure you're subscribed for more videos just like it. One of the first games I gotta talk about is Rescue the Embassy Mission. I love this game, still play this game today. It features a few different elements which keep you coming back for more. Now the first part is you have your 3 guys and you're trying to get to your little sniper tower, your sniper room, by walking through these city streets and avoiding the spotlights. The spotlights hit you, they're gonna start shooting at you. You can duck inside these doors, duck inside these windows, jump in the plants, do whatever you need to do. You can duck and roll. You gotta get through these things. Now, if you happen to lose a life along the way, it's no big deal. You have 2 more chances, and even if all 3 of them lose, well, I mean, that'll hurt you. The second part of these missions is once you have your snipers in place, you can pick off some enemies if they're by the window. Now, they're not always going to be by the window, and it just depends, and it takes patience. Take your time, though, however long you want to do this. You do have a time limit, but, it might help you inside the building for less enemies you gotta kill. Next part of the stage doesn't take very long at all. You just gotta rappel down the thing that you can't just repel all at once. So you just gotta take it nice and easy, nice and easy, nice and easy, nice and easy. Until you crash through the window, and then it becomes this kind of first-person mission where you gotta shoot the other enemies and save the hostages. Got a few floors to go through, find all the hostages, kill all the enemies. This part's always kind of fun. Now, you can definitely use your map in the corner. That's going to help you a lot. In fact, more often than not, I just look at the map. I never bother even looking at the graphics screen. But when you're shooting your gun, it's like a turbo fire. You can use your cursor to kind of move the bullets around as needed. And once you do that, game clear. Each mission takes about 5 minutes or so to complete, but you keep coming back because you can do a harder difficulty. How fast can you get through it? You can time yourself. Rescue the Embassy Mission, absolutely love this game, and super cheap. Next game I've got to talk about is Time Lord. I absolutely love Time Lord. It's actually developed by Rare. It has this kind of time travel dealio, while still kind of being like a, brawler, beat 'em up a little bit. The first little mini stage from the future, it just gets you used to the, okay, you gotta collect the orbs, and that's how you move on to the next stage. Very Quantum Leap style of this. Then each stage that starts off in medieval times, there's different ways to get the different orbs. They don't just kind of show up. A couple of times they might just show up, but for the most part, you have to do a little mini task to get these orbs, and not always all the orbs are in the same place all the time. That sentence does not even make any sense. Let me try that again. In each stage, the orbs aren't always where they are maybe the first time you played it. Oh, you know what I mean. The orbs move around a bit, how about that? But also in each stage you might get a weapon that pertains to that time. There are bosses in this game. Basically, it's collect the 5 orbs, then fight the boss, then you can move on to the next stage. I'm a huge fan of Time Lord, and it's pretty cheap. You can find it for less than $10. Lot of nostalgic memories playing Air Fortress. Love this game. 2 different phases in each stage. This first part is a shooter. It's a vertical shooter. Not bad. It's a vertical shooter. You're collecting your items. That's going to help you in the next part of the stage here. But this is the first half. This is what you do here. And then the second part is you are inside these air fortresses as you move around and trying to destroy the core. You have your gun, which will also give you a little blast back. You do have your bombs. That's going to help you. That's a more powerful attack. And you can float around and fly around. Now, you have your little energy level. The more you fly, basically, the faster the energy runs out. So use it sparingly, but definitely use it, Lots of enemies, lots of obstacles. Yeah, it makes each one kind of fun. Of course, the later stages, they get bigger and bigger. And eventually you will find the core that you have to destroy. You will then have a time limit to escape. Now, this is just the first stage, but there are stages where you have to destroy the core and then kind of go back through the rest of the stage. And it's not just going to be, your ship's not going to be on the other side like it is on this one. Huge fan of Air Fortress, so much so I literally reached out to HAL Laboratories asking if I could buy the rights to it to make a sequel, and they declined. Well, at least I tried, right? Hey, what about Wrath of the Black Manta? I'm a huge fan of this game too, and super cheap at less than $10 for what kind of game it is. Well, if you're into like Shinobi, for instance, like from Sega, I think you're gonna like Wrath of the Black Manta. It plays kind of similarly, where you have to save the kidnapped kids, but you're also a ninja, and you can use your throwing star, you can use your knife if you're close enough. This one features powerful ninja moves too, and each stage you can get different abilities, so you can kind of swap them out if you want to, shoot a little fireball, or maybe have a little thing that goes across the ground, or have a duplicate of yourself on top of you. Yeah, whatever way is going to make you feel better now. Now, unlike Shinobi, where the kidnapped children are just laying there on the street, behind some enemy, this one you have to go inside these doors, and you'll eventually find these kids. to make it through. Now, you do not need to rescue every kidnapped child, but it does help you in the game, give you points and all that, you know? Lots of secrets in this game. You'll find like hidden rooms and stuff like that. The size of this first boss blew my mind seeing this on an NES game. But I think Wrath of the Black Manta is a lot of fun and super cheap. Now here's a game you might have seen if you saw it at a convention or a store and you figured it was a sports game. It is not. Roller Games is a beat 'em up for all intents and purposes. Now this stage here, you're just, you know, cycling around being, yeah, you have your roller blades too, your roller skates or whatever it is. But as you're making your way through these stages, it plays more like a beat 'em up because you're, well, beating up the other enemies, right? Has those Konami graphics, has those Konami sounds, some great music in this game as well, different stages as well. Yeah, might want to check out Roller Games if you haven't played it already. Do we need to talk about how awesome Batman is? I mean, it's one of the best games on the NES, and still cheap. Now this game runs about 10 bucks, and for this whole list, I was looking for games about $10 or less. So out of all the games on the list, this one probably goes for the most, but the most is, about 10 bucks. It's Sunsoft, man. Great music, great sound, some of the best graphics on any NES game out there. Had that wall jump, that triangle jump that I loved. Kind of loosely based on the movie, but still, you know, has a lot of fun in this game too. It's one of the original challenge games. Like, if you can beat this game, you're pretty good at NES games, and this game is definitely beatable if you give it a chance. Don't need to say much more about Batman. It rules. If you don't have it in your collection, you gotta have it in your collection, man. Got a few classic arcade games on this list as well, including Operation Wolf. You can find this game for really cheap. Operation Wolf is one of the original on-rail shooters. It just scrolls back and forth, and you gotta shoot all the enemies before they shoot you. Simple enough. You have your gun, you have your grenades, you can get, you know, more health along the way, get more bullets along the way, magazines and all that, you know. You can play with the controller or the zapper. Now, again, if you don't think of this game as a zapper game so you can't play because you have a flat screen TV. You can play this game with the controller, and it plays very well. And if you're kinda broke, this is the game that you gotta grab. If you find this game, it shouldn't be going for a whole lot of money. Albeit frustrating with the controls, I'm still a big fan of Karate Champ. I think it's because sometimes I still don't even quite know what the move combinations do. It's not punch and kick with your A and B buttons. It's like you have to hold a direction and hit your button, and different things do different things. Like you push a button in a direction and it might give you a punch or a leg sweep. It might flip you around and turn behind you, might do a jumping kick. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw on what's actually gonna happen here. I still have a lot of fun with this game though, and Karate Champ, you can find it for pretty cheap. Man, going all the way back, I remember playing this game at Burger Ranch, which was a kind of Northwest chain of burger restaurants. Had a little arcade in the back. I'd play me some bump and jump. Man, I used to love this game because you just drive along, you can crash the other cars, make them, you know, crash into the side of the road, and then you can jump. A car that can jump? You gotta be out of your mind. It's insane. I love the angle of it too. It's like when you jumped, like, you know, the car got bigger because you're jumping into the sky and all that. Oh man. As a kid, this was everything to me. And the fact that it played so well on the NES, in my opinion, I thought it was super awesome. This game, you might not be able to find it as often as you might find, let's say, a Karate Champ or an Operation Wolf, but when you do find it, it should still be pretty cheap. I mean, we're talking less than 10 bucks here. Although it's an arcade game, I never saw it in the arcade. Magmax it just looked weird, but I still enjoyed it to an extent. That kind of weird isometric-y looking thing. And you're building your robot. It's like you're building a robot on the way. That's like you're a ship, but then you build these pieces for the robot to make your robot bigger, and you can, you know, give it a head and give it legs, and of course the more you do that, the more firepower you have. You can go up and down too. In the caves, you're kind of doing this thing, and when you're on the ground, you're doing something different. If you're looking for like a unique game, bit of a challenge on this one, check out Magmax. Not Mad Max, Magmax, M-A-G, Magmax, yeah. Now, I've joked about it before that Top Gun is the NES game that everybody had but nobody paid for. It just shows up in your collection one day. Well, they made a sequel to it, Top Gun Second Mission. This game's super awesome because it also features a 2-player versus dogfight, which I thought was wonderful. Played a ton of that. And still, I mean, it's not a bad flying shooting game. Now, in this one, you can actually do flips and stuff like that. You couldn't do that in the first one. You can just flip your thing around, do barrel rolls and all that. Absolutely. Super fun with Top Gun 2. Inexpensive game to find. Hey, we talked about this earlier in the video. Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2, the one that had Fabio on the cover. That's right. Cheap, fun game, another game made by Rare. So you're gonna have like some of the best animation on any NES game here. You gotta build your money, build your magic to defeat the bosses at the end of each stage. You have like the different elemental bosses to carry you through here. Different parts of the stages are only accessible after you do certain things, like find something, basically. It always becomes a fetch quest, doesn't it? Man, so many NES games are just fetch quests. It's like, I'm not gonna do this thing until you get me this thing. It's like, dude, just do the thing. Anyway, fun to see what kind of levels you're going to come up with next in Iron Sword. And you can build your character too. You find your better armor, find your better sword, and all that too. Of course, you're building up to build the Iron Sword to defeat the final boss. Wizards and Warriors 2, Iron Sword. Perfect challenge. Now, Wizards and Warriors, the first one, gave you unlimited continues. This one does not have unlimited continues. You have like 4 or 5 or something like that. So it's going to keep you playing, but this game is also very beatable when you give it a chance. Got time for a quick shooter? I know I do. Star Force from Tecmo. I remember I played this game because it was one of the first games I could purchase myself. They had it on sale at KB Toys and Hobby for only $19.99. I was like, I have $19.99. I can buy my own Nintendo game? What? I'm a grown-up for buying my own video game. Don't even have to wait for birthday or Christmas or something. Anyway, it's a decent space shooter. It is a decent space shooter, especially for the price it is. Fun to have in your collection. Why not grab it? Now, any NES game that has Disney and Capcom on it is going to be fairly good. Unless it's Tailspin, it's going to be a pretty decent game. One of the first ones, actually I think it might be the first one, is Mickey's Mousecapade. Mickey Mousecapade, and this one is fun. I mean, it looks a little bit simplistic for what it is, but don't consider this game a child game, because it's still super, super fun. A little mazy-like when you're trying to go through the houses, and the different stage have their own vibe too. But it's fun with the Disney because you might run across some characters that you remember from other Disney shows and movies and stuff like that. You can never go wrong with Mickey's Mousecapade. Is it Mickey Mousecapades? What am I doing? Well, it's funny, it's called Mickey Mousecapade, but the title screen just says Mickey Mouse. It's literally just called Mickey Mouse in Japan. Well, fun game all the same. I still like this one. Now, the first time I ever played Golgo 13, I thought it was dumb. Let me explain. I saw the cartridge, I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool, right? You pop it in, the music starts hitting you, it's like, all right, I can do this. And then the graphics look like this, and I'm like, this looks like an Atari game. But man alive, this game sucked me in. Yeah, it's not going to win Best Graphics Award anytime soon, but the story, the adventure of it all, like when you go through the stages and have to talk to people and do things, and it has the different modes where you're not just punching and kicking guys and all that, but also goes in a first-person mode where you have to kill the other enemies on screen and everything. Yeah, don't shy away when you look at screenshots of this game and be like, no. Fun to be had with Golgo 13. There are some die-hard, hardcore fans of this game too. I think it's fine. I'm not that level. There's even maze stages later on too, but I didn't get that far in this playthrough. Oh, I forgot to talk about Marble Madness when I was talking about arcade games. Marble Madness, man, I played this game. I liked most about this game was how many different ways you can die. It's not just like a death, disappear, flash, gone. But not just falling off the edges too. But sometimes the enemies get creative, like you fall and you shatter. Sometimes there's acid that dissolves you. There's enemies that eat you up. I mean, it's just kind of fun to see this game again with the controls. Pretty frustrating. You don't have a trackball to help you out with your momentum, if I can articulate it here. And sometimes some stages feature different routes you can take. Maybe you want to go this way, maybe you want to go that way. Maybe this way is shorter, but a little bit more tricky. Well, this game, it's a game I've still never beaten today. I've seen people go through it like it's nothing, but I still enjoy Marble Madness, for sure. And cheap. Gotta love that. Dino Wars is another interesting one. It's one that's not the most common game in the world, and I mean, admittedly, not even one of the most best games in the world, but it's still fun, and I found a lot of fun with this game. From Bandai. You start off as you, going through the factory, I suppose, to get to your dino robot dinosaur thing. Once you get to the end, you jump in his head, you power on, and now, kind of like the same gameplay that you were just doing, but now you're a slow-moving dinosaur that can get upgrades to throw your fist at other robotic dinosaurs. Naturally, the bosses, more dinosaurs and all that too. I just had fun with this game, and again, we're looking for cheap games that are decent. We're looking for pretty fun games that don't cost a lot of money. You shouldn't have to pay a whole lot of money to play some awesome Nintendo games, and this game's not bad. You ever see Anticipation out there? Well, if you're collecting NES games, you're at conventions, you're at game stores, chances are highly good that you have seen Anticipation 1,000 times. And I'm here to tell you, it's actually a lot of fun. It plays like a board game. It's an interactive board game. You can do 4-player on this game too, even just with the 2 controllers, because how you chime in or buzz in, you can just, hit your button, whatever button happens to be your button, and, answer the deal. The different colors per stage are a different topic per stage. I'm playing it on super easy right now. You can kind of see where it is, follow the dots, see what it is. Later on stages, if you get a harder difficulty, it won't have the dots, it won't have the topic, you just kind of figure it out yourself. And then whatever the die was on, when you guess it right, you move that many spaces. So you have to use some strategy to say, okay, I need a yellow tile, or I need a green tile. And so okay, I know the answer, but I can't guess it until it lands on this certain number of the die. when it's going through the process here. Other cheap NES games I forgot about, make sure you let me know in the comments below. And I've ranked so many games via company on this channel before too, so definitely check out this. I've done it a ton of times in the past. Got a whole playlist you can binge right now. Make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon, I promise.